Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. You guys who aren't new to the channel, you guys might know what's going on here. It's the 22nd, well, it's the 21st as I'm recording this, but it's going to be posted on the 22nd, and it's pretty far away from the 15th, and it's a long ways to the 1st. And you guys are like, yo, Casey, you probably blew your whole wad on stocks, didn't you? And that is true. That is true. I am broke, so I figured, why not scroll through my comments? I got nothing better to do because I can't afford any stocks right now. I only have $500 to get myself to the first and respond to this comment. So I'm going to read this comment to you guys in its entirety. And then I'm just going to go through and just note the philosophical differences. Okay, so this is kind of the Marxist ideology here in action. So this comment starts out kind of in good faith, but we're going to break this down and just, I don't want to say that this is dumb, you know, it's just a different vision of the world. So a good book to look at is Thomas Sowell's Conflict of Visions. So basically he has the constrained and the unconstrained vision. In the constrained vision, it basically relies on guidance of human behavior. So it talks about incentives and it talks about trade-offs, whereas in the unconstrained vision, it talks about having someone who is wise. Obviously, there are smarter people in society, having them guide the decisions of the millions of society. So he essentially goes in and describes how it's very difficult to have central authorities to plan the economy and have them make the best decisions for millions and millions of people, rather than the constrained vision, which would have you have all these millions of people make decisions that are in their best interests. And essentially, it's a little bit more of a tragic view, the constrained vision, which is, you know, typically the more conservative libertarian vision, in which people tend to do things that suit themselves. So you either have one system that tries to change the laws, tinker around, that makes everybody have the best experience, because if you change the laws like this, you change the laws like that, everybody's going to have the most good, you're going to have the most utility. Or you have the constrained vision. That was the unconstrained vision. The constrained vision says, set guidelines, set parameters that everybody must operate within, have consistent laws, apply them consistently across the board, and let people look after their own best interests. So anyways, let's get into the comment after all that rant. That's essentially the disagreement here. So I don't want to say that this person is unintelligent, because intelligence, it's not my thing, but it's not that important. Let's go. Income is always the real issue. There's tons of financial institutions willing to lend money if you just get your ducks in order. So this is on the Why Millennials Are Broke video, by the way. But the amount and quality of jobs available and the perpetual rising rent costs just make it all untenable. So here we go. We got the passive voice already. The jobs available, the perpetual rising rent costs just make it all untenable. So how we're using the passive voice there is jobs available, right? Jobs are created by entrepreneurs when they go out and start businesses, when people have services to offer that the entrepreneur can go and use those services to grow their business. Okay, so if it's too expensive to hire people, they won't hire people. If people don't have the skills, they won't hire people. If there are no entrepreneurs, it's not worth starting a business, they won't hire people. So jobs don't just exist, right? That's kind of the tops down approach. The jobs available. So kind of uses that passive voice. And the persistently rising rent costs. Why are the rent costs rising? Okay, it's because somebody's charging higher rents. Okay, so the landlords are charging more money. Why are they charging more money? Because they can. Because there's more money in the system. That's why rents are going up. Why is there more money in the system? Because of the tops down approach. Okay, moving on to the next sentence. It's time for a change. I would agree. I'm not opposed to the notion of work, but we shouldn't be wasting people's time to try to produce more when the demand just isn't there. I would agree with that, but probably not in the way that you mean. We shouldn't be wasting people's time in keeping companies that are alive, that are producing things that people aren't demanding. Okay, so if people aren't demanding your product, your business should die. I think that's what you meant to say there. That's why high quality public sector jobs are so important. The profit motive fails because there's no incentive for inclusiveness. I would say the profit motive is great because there is incentive to make profit. So there's incentive to be efficient with your workforce. Okay. In my public sector job, I actually have one. Okay. There is no incentive for me to work off the clock. There's none. I mean, maybe I get promoted earlier, but there's very little incentive for me to actually work any overtime, work any harder, work any faster. There's much incentive for me to, because I'm paid salary. Okay. So the less I work, the more I get paid per hour. All right. That's what public sector jobs are. If you've ever been to the post office, that's what public sector jobs are. I try to use the example of the post office because most people haven't been in the military. Most people haven't worked with public sector jobs, but they have been to the post office. They have been to the DMV. Imagine the entire economy, but it's the post office. Imagine the entire economy, but it's the DMV. How much stuff would we actually have? Okay. How many, all these things that, it's dependent on supply and demand. The supply would go way down if you're not working these employees harder, if these employees don't have to work hard. Okay. So anyways, moving back into the comment, it's fine for the Olympics or the NBA to be exclusive, but the economy shouldn't work that way. So essentially what he's saying when we boil this down is it's okay for NBA owners to hire the best people, but it's not okay for other business owners to hire the best people. So anyone out there who says that the NBA should be representative of the population of the United States would be laughed out of the gym, right? Everybody knows that that's not the case. The simple reality is we have massive abundance and redundancy, which ironically makes it harder to compete. We do have massive abundance, but where did it all come from? That's the question. It distorts wages downward. This is all well-known post-Keynesian stuff here. Of course, Keynesian. It distorts wages downward. Okay, so how does it distort wages downward? That's, once again, we're using the passive voice. Where do wages come from? Wages come from employers, right? So whatever employers are willing to pay, whatever employees are willing to accept, that's how wages are set. It's not set from the top down. It's set by negotiating between employees and employers. So if employees will accept less, then employers will definitely choose to pay less. That's how that works. All right, lastly, if we're going to play fight to win so others will lose, we might as well be honest about it. We don't fight to win so others will lose. We fight to win so that we win, but that's kind of a weird way to put that. If we put up pointless hurdles and obstacles, there's just no complying. I'm sick of trying to prove myself to people who are just as dumb as rocks. So let's talk about that first statement. If we put up pointless hurdles and obstacles, there's just no complying. I'm not sure exactly what he means, but I think the pointless hurdles and obstacles that he might be talking about are the prices. Like, let's talk about homes. The price of a home isn't arbitrarily determined. The price of the home is determined by the seller. So that's not an arbitrarily determined hurdle or obstacle. That is a price that the seller wants to charge, okay? And that's what you have to pay or you cannot have the home. It's not arbitrarily determined. It's determined by the marketplace. And the last one, I'm sick of trying to prove myself to people who are as dumb as rocks. So you don't have to prove yourself to people who are as dumb as rocks. You don't have to work a job. You can be self-employed. This is the land of the free. You can do whatever you want to. Whatever you do, if people are willing to pay you for it, you can make as much money as you want to. That's the reality of the situation. If you're not making a lot of money right now, it's because nobody wants to pay it to you. That's where the money comes from. It doesn't matter who you are. You have to convince somebody to give you the money. And that's the bottom line. If you can't convince somebody to pay you, nobody's going to pay you. If you go out and do 5, 10 job interviews and they all offer you the same amount, that is your market value. Once you accept that as a reality, you can stop living in this fantasy and you can actually go make yourself some money. So anyways, hopefully you guys like this little rant. This comment was just like, man, it deserved its own video. So I was like, let me tie it back to this is why millennials are broke. So it's funny that he commented on the video about why millennials are broke. And this mindset is part of it. I mean, you think look at the entitlement. I'm tired of trying to prove myself to people who are as dumb as rocks. That's like, I don't even know what to say. So anyways, hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to be featured on this series, just make a really dumb comment underneath this video. I might feature you in the next video of this series, and I'll see you guys in the next video.